Hey everybody, good morning. Oh, it's really dark over here. It's a wonderful, wonderful spring day, and I don't just mean that as just like being theoretical. I mean like the weather is like perfect today. It's sunny. And I wanted to bring you out to this area because it's always been a fascination. I have done videos before out here of this monolith mausoleum from a guy named Charles Ringling, who you may know from the Ringling brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus. I believe there was originally 5 brothers that owned their circus, as well as Barnum and P.T. Barnum and Bailey. But I wanted to show you kind of a little bit around this unusual pink marble-esque building and get a view of the side of it, just so you can get a view of the enormity, get some scale. Here's a gentleman that you may know. It's Jake.
This is a really, I'll tell you, this is just kind of
What's
freaky being out here. And I'll tell you why, because today this is a big day for America. The young adults of our country for March of Our Lives, they're all over the country. D.C., here in Sarasota, Manatee, they're all over because of the shootings and the students being killed in schools and other shootings as well.
I didn't even put those two together.
Yeah, I'm thinking that now because here I am in a cemetery, albeit John Ringling's amazingly beautiful mausoleum.
Almost like you said Muslim.
Mausoleum. But to see what's going on around our country, and then here we are at a cemetery, and I'm looking at these plots, and it's kind of spooky to me. And to see that most of these people that we have seen here in this area have died somewhere between 1955 and 1965. How long they've been dead? Where are their souls? This is this is where I get freaky in my mind. Is where are their souls now? Are their souls alive in somebody else? Is their souls, just floating around here? Are they around their families?
What are your thoughts with the souls?
I don't know. I'm kind of like agnostic with things. Agnostic is basically you have no beliefs. Okay. You're not sure. I can't answer. Like I believe in life on other planets. Right. Even though I don't know for sure, I haven't seen any aliens walking around. But to me, yes, they have visited this planet. But that's something I believe in, even though I haven't seen it. As far as all this other things, whether you live another life, if you've had another life before, I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting, and some people think it's like morbid or scary or haunted.
It's scary to me.
To come out, but let's walk over here just for a sec.
Look, we're walking at people's plots. It's eerie to me to
but
look at other people that have been dead for 50, 60,
I know, but look
years.
At these 2 pigeons that are here, and it's like it says something. It's kind of cool to see the personality, because these days some people have even their picture in color on their gravestone. Right. You ever seen that? Like a color picture of them?
And they might have videos as well of them saying their last, goodbyes to everybody who was looking at. Oh yeah, they do.
I haven't seen that. Well, a lot of these are older though.
Think of this. I don't want to. I feel uncomfortable giving the names, but you look at the years. 1955, widow of person's name, beloved wife and mother. Now they've been dead now for how many years? 70 years, something like that. So the chances are their
80 years.
Children are dead too. They're all dead.
I know. Sometimes you can go into multiple levels of whatever you call that, like the multiple level theory of like, okay, their children are dead, but their grandchildren are still alive. Where are they? I personally don't have any relatives buried in Sarasota, which is a really odd thing with my family. We cremate people and then we hold on to the remains, which I have no idea where that is. But
I'll tell you something which I find kind of humorous. I work at Publix, and I love it, and I meet a lot of people. And some of the people that come in there are in their...
Let's not walk on this guy's gravestone.
Yeah.
We're trying not to walk on people. Please excuse us. We're good.
Anyway,
we're good.
I meet a lot of people, elderly. I mean, I'm basically 60 years old, but I meet people coming in that are 95 years old, and they get around, and they could talk, and they have all the faculties together. And when they talk about their kids... And I say to them, "Oh, your kids, how old are they?" They're 70, 75.
Yeah. That's
and
mind-blowing, right?
Because
their kids are old.
They're calling them kids. Meanwhile, they're 70, 75 years old.
The reason we're out here is to look at this gigantic, what would you say is about 20 feet tall or higher? This gigantic monolith.
25 to 30.
Of all the research I've done, I've never been able to figure out why this is so big and grandiose. And we'll look around and look up the next biggest one is that little house type.
Looks like Mueller. they're going. They are going. They are going to be there.
Thing over here, and you've got one. Yeah, you've got some that are like 6 feet tall.
Look, it's gorgeous.
And apparently he had a lot of money, and he was attached to the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, and I think he was in real estate development too.
Well,
Passed away in 1926.
20. So he's been dead, what, 92 years? That's insane.
It's insane.
And the Ringling name, though, will live in infamy forever.
But when you come by this road, this is like the only thing you can see because it sticks up so much further. It's so much higher than everything else in this whole cemetery. There's a pink pink marble one over there, but I don't know whose that is. But that's pretty big.
Look, let's be honest. Ringling put Sarasota on the map.
I think so.
You know, and the whole area, Venice and all that is all because of the Ringling brothers. But John is the one that people are most
right. That's what
he lived the longest.
That's what we were talking about.
John and Mabel.
So you can just
I
maybe
can't get too close. I can't do it.
Jake's backing up. He's freaked out. I don't know if you can see, but there is a Charles Edward Ringling written on there, and I think his wife is on the other side. Jake's not going to go too close.
I'm uncomfortable with the whole thing.
All right, so he's uncomfortable.
I got to be honest. I never liked scary movies as a kid. Exodus basically did me in. And what year was that? 1970 something?
What did you say? Exorcist?
The Exorcist. The Exodus.
The Exodus.
The Exodus.
That was a movie I didn't see.
No, but The Exorcist, I realized I cannot deal with. I don't see Friday the 13th. I don't see Halloween movies. I don't want to, I can deal with, if you watch a war movie or some suspenseful killer movie, I can deal with a little bit of the stabbing, but blowing up and all that, and stabbing
violence.
people in the face, God, and the scare jumping out of
right,
woods, cemeteries. This is
Me, on the other hand, I was always a slasher film watcher. Like as a kid, my mom would bring me to every slasher film.
If I knew that,
every slasher film,
you wouldn't be. This is the last time we go out to do, to walk around and
but now I do not like the Friday the 13th and the somebody's calling. Who is it?
Oh,
Is it one of your relatives?
It's my wife.
So, also in the cemetery is the Wallenda, some of the Wallenda family, which goes back.
This is an amazing cemetery. You got John and Charles Ringling here, who is iconic, of course, legendary
from
in
circus.
Sarasota area from the circus
Stuff.
Barnum and Bailey Ringling Circus, and now we have the Wallendas, which was a big part of the Ringling Circus.
He was?
Weren't they? Well, they were trapeze and high wire acts and all that.
Yes.
Weren't they part of that?
And so Nick Wallenda, who people may know as a daredevil that does the Grand Canyon.
Well, let's get this straight though first. Was the Wallendas part of the circus?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I did get that.
So
with me, you never know.
The godfather of the Wallenda family is Carl Wallenda, and he started the whole troupe thing where they got famous and everything. I think.
What year was that about?
I haven't the slightest idea. The early part of the century. But they go back like 7 generations as performers. But anyway, so you and I are talking about Nick Wallenda, and you say that you have a physician that is Nick Wallenda's personal physician.
And close friend. Yes.
Friend
been
too.
to his wedding and all
Nick
that.
Nick Wallenda lives in Sarasota where we are right now.
Right. Correct.
So, as the story goes.
Well, Nick has been, of course, marketed wonderfully because it's kind of like Evel Knievel was, where they broadcast.
Exactly.
The Wallendas are, of course, as you say, iconic figures, and their whole family's been doing this for probably 100 years, give or take.
But Nick's been famous for about 10, 15
Well,
years.
he has taken advantage. He's taken over a different kind of daredevil from Evel Knievel. But he's got a great personality. His family's great.
I think we're over here is where the Wallenda family. All right, Jake's getting uncomfortable.
Right.
But
anyway, he did the walk, of course, over Niagara Falls, and he was in Colorado. And my friend Howie went out there, and it was great because while it was being broadcasted, of course, they went to right before he did the walk. They checked his blood pressure. It was my friend Howie, his doctor and friend. There's the Wallenda's right here. Just show him the Wallenda.
Yeah, it says Wallenda is like the big gravestone, and then you've got different family members in this one square area.
So anyway, Howie, they show him on TV, he's checking his blood pressure, but Howie's explaining to me when doing the walk over the canyon, And if you remember, there was a windy day, and there was only a certain amount of wind they're allowed where they're going to say, we got to scrap.
Yeah, we got to scrap.
But
right.
Nick said, no, it's a go. We're doing this. So Howie, up on the canyon, is watching him, and he said it was the freakiest thing to see this, wire across how many hundreds of, or thousands, I don't even remember how big it was.
It's like
but
800
it's huge.
feet or something.
And to watch his friend take that first step, knowing there's no turning back now, he's going to make it across.
And it's like 800 feet down.
Yeah, I mean, it's you make it across, you live. You don't. And he said it was just the whole thing
and that was
to
the one
watch
where
it.
he didn't have the tether, like the little tether on the wire, because I think it was Niagara where he did have a tether.
I don't remember.
So he's got no wires, no nets, no nothing.
No, it's do or die.
It's just mind-boggling. Like if you watch it on TV, I don't think you get the same internal feeling of stress that you would if you were standing next to a canyon with the wind blowing in
the
your
camera's first of all on a slight TV's on a slight delay. If something happens, they're going to dark, or they're shooting to a commercial. They're going to dump it. Exactly. But when that's what I'm saying. He's there watching it live, and he says he's probably more nervous. It's like, I guess, like watching a kid than Nick was walking across the canyon.
So that's him on the wire right there with his purple
I can't
garl.
get too close. I'm scared. All right,
He's
scared.
Right. So before Nick Wallenda,
Yes.
I believe it was his great-grandfather, Carl, who was the original daredevil, who arranged these daredevil things where he would go building to building. And if you look on YouTube, you can actually find Carl Wallenda on YouTube doing it. But unfortunately, he's known for falling to his death.
I am not. If they have that on film, I am not watching him fall to his death. I'm just not doing it.
I understand. So he was
Made Wallendas the Wallendas, I guess, right?
He was the inspiration. Yeah, he put the troupe together to have the act of the Wallendas, which ended up being the 7-man pyramid, which I believe became very famous until...
Who in their right mind is going to take
Who in the right mind?
chairs and load them on top of a high wire act and put people on top of it?
But you said you've seen that?
Of course, you've seen pictures, haven't you?
Okay, so, yeah.
It's insane. I can't fathom any. How do you try this? You're starting, 3 feet above the ground, and now you're going, 40 feet? No.
Yeah, it's like 30 foot. Well,
and there's no. Look,
so
if
they
one
performed
person,
it.
and you're trusting the other 6 people. One falls, somebody has a scratchy, itchy nose or something, a sneeze, you're done.
All right, so let's stop on that note just a second. Let me interject. So they do it in the 50s and 60s, I think. And then they have an accident where somebody starts falling, and then the rest of the people fall. So everybody falls except for one guy. It wasn't Carl. I don't think. It was, what did I say? Gunther. There was one guy who did not fall out of 7 people.
And how high were they at the time?
I have no idea. It's like
they all died?
30-something
They all
feet.
died?
No. 2 guys died. One guy was in a paralyzed. One guy stood with his pole. It turns out that was Gunther Wallenda, who later got his degree in teaching and taught at a school that I actually went to school with. At the time, I had no idea that was who that guy was.
You didn't put 2 and 2 together.
No, I guess
there's no internet.
Well, let's just say
Wallenda, right?
pre-internet, you can't find that stuff out easily. You have
But
to
he
go
was
to
he was a Wallenda.
He was a Wallenda.
And you never asked him, are you related to the Wallendas? You of all people, who could ask? Well,
me of all people.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
It means you ask questions like me. You have this mind that is continuously moving in different directions. You would think you hear Wallenda.
No, but
if I was in New York and I met a guy who said, "My name is Fred Wallenda," I go, "Oh,
Fred
you
Wallenda.
remember the Wallenda family?" I mean, that would just be the obvious thing to do, to ask.
So the only memory I have of him is going to a what do they call it?
He was always walking
After
to
school.
class like this, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
That should have been the first key indication that he was.
Well, it was like people would talk when you got in there. You go, "That's one of the guys from the Wallendas, and he used to walk on a wire and stuff." But I don't think it was one of those things where he would sit in class and talk about the circus, because he was in his 60s or 70s.
No, I understand.
But I remember being in an after-school thing where I got in trouble and I had to sit, and he was the teacher that we had to sit with. And in the, what is it called, a referral, or what do they call that when you're in
Detention?
detention? There you go.
Referral? Yes.
You get a referral and then you go
I
to
was
detention.
referred to go to detention. That's what it is.
So our detention thing, if you fell asleep, you'd have to come back a different day and reserve your
Oh,
criminal sentence.
You're kidding me.
You could not fall asleep. You had to be doing work, and you
that-
had to keep.
no.
And for me, that was super
No,
tough.
that's torture.
Yeah,
what was the movie when they were in
it was Cell Block
detentions
D.
with? Oh God, getting old and forgetting
Breakfast Club?
names.
Breakfast Club thing.
Yes.
It wasn't quite that, because that was a whole Saturday.
Oh, but that was a phenomenal movie, and
Right.
that made you want to go into detention.
Minnesota Memorial. By the way, this is Minnesota Memorial, which I can never remember the name of, but you can see it's a pretty good sized cemetery. I've been to Tampa recently, and their cemeteries are like 5 miles wide. Compared to this is a couple acres, you know, maybe 10 acres.
You ever wonder if you're going to run out? Well, I guess there's always cremation, but in the Jewish religion,
Are we gonna
being
run- are we
Jewish,
gonna
you're not
run
allowed
out
to
of-
be cremated. Don't ask
Oh.
me why. I don't know.
I did not know that.
Yes. So, well, yes, exactly what you were
Are we
just
gonna
about
run?
to
Are we
say.
gonna run out of room to bury people?
I
in?
know.
Do we start over?
You're tearing down building complexes and you put cemeteries. I don't know. I guess
Do we have to build high rises?
I
to
guess
put
at some
people in?
point, if the world actually exists down the road, thousands of years from now, there will, I guess cremation will have to be added to the Jewish religion as well, because there won't be enough room.
How will we have
I
enough
don't
room?
know. The whole thing is the thought of dying is absurd.
So here's the question I asked myself.
Now you got me thinking about death and what happens
Sorry.
to my body and my soul, if there is a soul.
Well, hopefully-
People tell me I'm an old soul. So that means I've had a lot of different lives. I wish I could remember them. But people are very much into that. They they can explain what an old soul is. Somebody who, I guess, they learn
Right.
from their past mistakes.
An old soul basically
without
means
knowing that they had those
even when
mistakes.
you were born, you had a soul of an older person inside your body, rather than being like a young.
Did you ever see the movie
unexperienced
Benjamin Button with Brad Pitt?
No, I did not.
Oh my
I know
God.
of it. Why
You
is there a
have to
shiny
watch
thing
it.
in the road over there?
I don't know. I'm getting nervous.
So here's what I was going to ask.
Just-
All right, so this building,
Yeah.
how long do you think this building can be standing in the future? Could this building last 1,000 years like Rome? Could it be
Absolutely.
here 2,000
Oh my
years from
God,
now?
That must be worth what they paid for, and maybe it's marble, but I don't know what it is. But that is, we're talking about top of the line. They might have to restore it occasionally just to keep it up to date, but this thing will be standing forever. Why do you have me down here on the street? What's the purpose of this? We have these big, humongous, I don't know, warehouses that, of course, it's Saturday, I guess, and it's closed, or people just don't want to be in this area for whatever crazy reason you have me here.
So one day I was driving down the road, this is how a lot of my videos start. I was driving down the road one day, and I saw this old house over here off of 301 Boulevard.
Why is it boarded up?
Because I don't think anybody lives there now. And usually that's what you.
It seems like
that's
it's
what you usually do.
relatively, maybe it's 30, 40 years old, the house. Why?
Yeah, I think it's from the 20s actually.
All right, let's say
But
it's even
what-
80 or 100 years old. Why is it boarded up? It looks in pretty good shape. What about this house right here?
Yeah, the oddness is on the street between two warehouse areas, like industrial. Let's just say two industrial parks. There's a house over here. There's a house over here. And there's one house behind all those trees down here. And then there's just like this old building, which I believe is for sale, like that big 2-story building down there.
Good luck selling it.
So anyway, the first time I came down here, I was sort of caught off guard because I'm like, what's the deal? Why is all this empty land? And the grass is cut.
Everything looks immaculate.
It looks like everybody just suddenly moved out. Like everything was fine.
This house that is right in front of us as we walk by it now looks perfectly normal.
I know,
Beautifully landscaped. Everything is intact. And then
Yeah,
you
it
look
looks
a little bit to the left where we're walking now, and you got the house that is windows that are boarded up, but still looks pretty good.
It's not falling apart. The roof's in decent shape. I haven't the slightest idea, and that's like the whole weird thing is, when you see abandoned houses, why are they abandoned? Like what happened? Did somebody just buy this whole property and decide everybody was going to move out?
You tell me. And what about that shed?
I don't know. Let's go back to the shed.
There's no way I am going into a shed. That's an abandoned house. It's not happening.
I tried to talk him into doing like a funny skit with the shed, and he's not excited about the shed. Let's just go right back to the
I
shed.
see a crack in the door. I know there. Look, I don't. You know how I feel.
You're not excited about it.
I'm
excited.
agnostic. The things I just don't know, but there are also things that even though I don't know, I don't want to take chances. If there is anything going on inside there, that have left behind from the past, from people who are no longer with us.
Are you thinking people died in the shed?
Whether they died or they died here in this abandoned house for whatever reason it is. And
Let's
look,
go see it. Let's just go take a peek.
No. See that window? See that one of the windows doesn't have a window, a pane of glass.
All right. Is it okay if we walk close to
there
that?
could be spirits floating around it. I'm not going near it.
If the window has glass, then the spirits can't come out. But if
that
the window
would sound pretty, yes, unless they're lifting it, and I don't know, or they go through it.
they're lifting
The glass out. If you go near it, I'm not.
Okay, Jake is not really not he's not thrilled with the prospect of hey Jake, there's a concrete thing right here. Somebody might be buried in here.
I'm getting ready to run. Whoa.
It's too heavy. But maybe it's a tomb where they bury people in there.
You're crazy.
They have direct TV too. This is the this is the shed, which makes you wonder. What is in the what is in the darkened shed? It looks like somebody did something really weird with the Jake's still way over there. Somebody did something weird with the door. So all there is like a couch, some plywood, old tires. I don't know if somebody's been living in here, but just some old lights. I don't know what the deal with the door is. Oh, somebody broke the door, I guess, because the door is hanging. Part of the door is hanging sideways. And part of the door is... It says number 14 on there. Somebody broke the door. Jake's yelling from over here. Why is there a big patch of grass right there? Is that where the monsters hide? There's a big patch of grass there, but everything else is mowed here, which is really odd too. Looks like somebody probably broke the window up here. But I would say this is probably built in the 20s or 30s, probably, at some point. It doesn't look, you know, it doesn't look completely broken down. It looks in fairly decent condition. I'm pretty sure nobody lives here, because every time I've been by, there's never been anybody parked here. The only thing it says is beware of dog. How are you? You okay?
You wouldn't come down this road at night, would you? Alone?
Yes.
You would walk out here alone.
I'm kind of weird like that.
You are
like,
very weird. Now, let me. I sense spirits on you. I think they're attached to you now. I really do. I think you have spirits or / ghosts.
In the daytime, spirits come out and attach themselves.
Is there again, not knowing, but interested in hearing your thoughts on this? Is there a boundary or a limit where, if there are spirits or ghosts, where they can't step past 10 feet?
Like if they're evil spirits, they can't go into a
Any
cemetery?
Any spirit.
Can't go into
wherever they are. If
ground.
there are spirits in that shed, can they step outside? Is there boundaries? If they leave their spirit disintegrates.
I don't think about spirits that much. I just like go out and look at stuff, and I try not to get too caught up in the spirit areas. Now we're wrong.
You know what? You should have brought a paranormalist, or a paranormal guy, or whatever you call it.
There goes a big truck from one of the...
Yeah, is it a truck, or is it something we're seeing like ghosts?
Is it a truck, or is it a ghost
Can I
truck like in
touch it?
Ghostbusters? It's like Ghostbusters, it's a ghost truck. Well,
I mean, is it real, or is it our imagination?
Wasn't there a scene in Ghostbusters where a ghost ship was coming into the harbor?
I was scared to watch Ghostbusters, okay?
You can't be serious about that. All right, so here's another house. The roof is in really good shape. That's why I always judge like how old a house is. If the roof is in good shape, you know it hasn't leaked and messed up all the house and everything, right?
Well, there is some
There goes a
corrosion.
helicopter.
Yeah. Is it really? There is corrosion on the wood there on the side panel.
But as soon as you lose the roof, you lose the integrity of the house.
Look.
And then it turns into like mold and all that, and you lose.
It's a lovely house. It really is.
But I've been here.
Like your backyard.
Yeah,
Go closer.
I've been here
Go
before.
closer, I go further away.
It looks, somebody kind of just ripped the screen and stuff, but you can tell it's an older school. There's actually some mail on the ground there. Letters. That's weird, huh? See, there's furniture still in there. There's like a lamp and some stuff in there. Pictures on the wall. So there's actually letters on the ground by the door, but there's no mailbox. Like the mailbox has been taken off. There used to be a mailbox there last time I was here. So how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10?
Now you got
on your 1 to 10 scale.
A ghost rage happened, and they ripped them. They got fed up with the mail.
A ghost rage. Yeah. The funny thing is, when you go down the street,
wait. You got direct TV up there. Somebody's got to be living here.
No, that could have been within the last 10 years.
Stop. No ghost. Just put
a ghost put it. This building used to be some kind of chemical company. I think the whole thing's for sale now.
So now we're diseased here with chemicals spewing all over the place.
That's what would worry me more than the ghost spirits attaching themselves to us, is the ghost spirit. I like this tree. This tree sells the whole property because you've got like a 1515 Mockingbird Lane thing going on, like the Munsters house with the decrepit tree, you know what I mean?
By the way, that was like watching Twilight Zone for me, the Munsters.
Like the third
Addams Family, forget it.
But like 1313 Mockingbird Lane, where the trees were all withered, which was actually filmed on a Hollywood lot and all that, but they took the house and made it all scary and stuff. But the fact that the tree, the fact that the tree is all decrepit is what I think is really hilarious. But the house looks like somebody took a brand new house and just plopped it here, and then you've got all these trees growing up. And Jake's gonna hang out here while I go up to the thing. There's furniture in this one that you can see. There's furniture here, but there's nobody living here.
There's got to be somebody living there.
No.
You got a dish.
There's no.
Matter of fact, there's a game on. Let's go see. Okay,
he wants to go see March Madness.
Get me in that house.
March Madness is going on TV. I was here before, and it looked basically like somebody lived here. There's a phone book on the ground. And it has like furnishings and couches, but look at the floor. The floor is super dirty, so nobody's been here in a long time. Can you see that? The dirt on the floor. There is like furniture, couches, pictures on the wall, a lamp there. It looks like somebody had just lived here recently. The fan's even running. So it's always possible that somebody lives here during the winter time, but I just wouldn't think so. I just don't think anybody lives there, even though the power's on. So this over here, I think, is like some kind of company. I don't know if it's a chemical company, but the first time I was a little antsy that somebody's going to come out, but it has a huge real estate sign at the end of the street, and so I think the whole thing is for sale. You get these buildings as well as the van back there. You get those things. It's this whole block is for sale.
Well, again, I don't know. All the theories, conspiracies, what's this block stands for. I feel like I have to go home, shower, and cleanse myself. Get all this spiritual stuff.
Can you wash the spirits off? Is that possible?
But
you can see it's a fairly long street. I mean, it's a good-sized block.
I will tell you this: as you were, getting closer to the house and looking at it, went into my dream world. We were talking about the Munsters, which I think is one of the all-time brilliantly. I love the Munsters, Addams Family, but the Munsters was special to me. The writing was great, and the fact that Marilyn was considered the ugly duckling.
Yeah,
of the family. It was brilliant. Absolutely.
People would look at Marilyn in public and think that she was perfectly normal. And then she would come home and feel like the weirdo because you had Fred or whatever, Herman Munster, that was like Frankenstein,
Lily,
the vampire, and Eddie.
Grandpa, what was his name? He opened up a restaurant in New York, and he called it Grandpa's. Nice. And it was down in the village. And I remember, let's see, when was I living there? Back in the 80s, I guess, early to mid 80s. So we went over to Grandpa's, and when we got, I got to get his name though. What was Grandpa's name from the Munsters? Because that has to be brought up in this conversation. Munsters cast. Let's find out. Because this is very prevalent. Grandpa was great. Al Lewis from the Munsters.
That was quick.
And Al Lewis always looked old. And this is years after
Even
the
when
Munsters.
he was like 45, 40
Well,
years
yeah,
old,
I don't
he
know
looked
how
old.
old he was. He was a grandpa in the Munsters, which was in the mid-60s. So this had to be 20 years later. So you got to figure he was 80 years old. He looked exactly the same. So he had this restaurant called Grandpa's. We went over there. It was an Italian restaurant. We went over there to eat one night, and he was there. And he was the most genuinely nice
I bet
guy.
he loved it.
And he looked exactly the same. And it was just to sit and talk with him on the stools of the village leading up to his restaurant, talking to Al Lewis is just a wonderful experience.
I think he was one of the guys that seemed to enjoy the celebrity, as opposed to running away from it.
Oh,
like
no,
a lot
no,
of people
yeah,
hid from
absolutely.
celebrity.
Well, he wasn't a starstruck, but the Munsters, of course, really put him on the map, as far as I know, because I was, 7, 8, 9 years old at the time in the mid-60s.
Besides him, there had to be a lot of other famous people hanging. I've read a lot of books about people that lived in New York.
Oh, the Village is a...
Carson was there for a long time.
Well,
Johnny
of course,
Carson.
a lot of them had to move out to L.A. to do their shows because a lot of the series were filmed out there.
He chose to do that, but
a lot of people...
But just Al Pacino and those New York
Oh,
type
Robert De
people,
Niro has investments in restaurants.
When you were living up there, would you just be walking on the street and see somebody who was
It's
an
not.
actor?
I mean, you do occasionally, but it's not. It's like going to L.A. I would think in L.A. you'd probably get a more chance on a daily basis to see stars.
So you know who Jerry Springer is?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I shared a because I worked for iHeartRadio, Clear Channel, and Jerry Springer did the former mayor of Cincinnati, right?
Right.
He did
Sounds right.
He did a left-wing show. He's
he
a
did a
Democrat,
show.
so he
I did
did
not
one
know that.
in one of the studios next to the studio that I was on. So occasionally we would meet in these stalls of the bathrooms. They had the urinals.
That's always a great place
Jerry
to
would
socialize.
be on my left or right. And
It's
I'd
always
be on
nice to
his.
socialize while you're taking a pee. But isn't this odd? Like, you didn't know about this place, but I did.
No, why would I know about it? Why would it make me think about looking for something?
It's very beautiful. You could build a house right there.
No, it is. Well, but it's surrounded by these warehouses.
I know, but it's very quiet, except for those cop cars.
Cemetery and Ghost Town. What's our next adventure?
I don't know. We're gonna chase.
All in one day. Never even think about bringing me to this place at night. Ever. Once sundown starts coming, don't even think about it.
Would it be okay if I just came here and called you on my cell phone? Would that be okay? Would the ghosts come through the phone?
Again, agnostic, don't know.
Would the ghosts come through the phone and attach themselves to you? Can they do electronic?
Can they? If you filmed it and showed me the film, will they?
Will they come out of the? Will they come out of the video?
It wasn't Apocalypse. What was the movie where they came out of the TV screen, or they sucked you in?
Yeah, Poltergeist.
I mean, come on. Why would anybody want to watch that and watch TV again?
I don't know. Jaws was a big traumatizer. It wasn't a ghost story, but
it took me
Jaws,
years to get back in the ocean.
Jaws. I would not swim in a swimming pool after I saw Jaws. Anyway, we gotta go. This video is running very, very long, but thanks for enjoying the agnostic and I on our adventure. And hopefully we'll be doing something else in the future. You never know.
Been a very spiritual day. Thank you there.
We hope there's no ghosts attached to the phone and coming after you guys. So please like and subscribe and hit the notifications thing. We'll see you next time. It's John and Jake. We'll see you. Would this be a ghost Bud Light that a ghost left here?
Dilly, now I feel a little better. We love Dilly. Dilly always can put a smile on my face. No,
What's a Dilly?
The Bud Light commercial. See, you're not a sports person. Everybody knows Bud Light's marketing thing is Dilly.
So is all
we're going to see more abandoned houses?
Is all this agnostic talk just like you just showboating, or are you really?
No.
Does it really get to you?
Yeah, this is me.
All right, so
like I said, agnostic is not sure what to believe. In cases like this, even though I'm not sure, I kind of live on the cautious side just in case.
Just in case spirits attack us in the daytime at 2 p.m.
Attach ourselves to that tonight. Now I'm going to think about this tonight.
I've never heard that where spirits can attach themselves to you. Is that something? Is that a thing?
I don't. Who knows? This is just what's coming up.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Look at this beautiful house, maintained.
You sound like Yoda a little bit.